As a project manager, mitigating project risk is an everyday activity that forms the crux of every role. It is critical within this role to be able to forecast, factor, or be able to alleviate project risks that should they occur on any project, the necessary steps have been put in place to minimize the negative impact on the overall project objectives. This discussion builds on the strategies and tactics brought forth in recent weeks as seen through the lens of the project manager. So we will cover many of the topics we've discussed in recent weeks, but again, we're putting a new spin on it. We're going to look at planning, identification, analyzing, responding, monitoring, and controlling project risks as the key responsibility of the project manager. From the outset, a project manager needs to define how to manage business risk. This could be encapsulated in a risk management plan, a risk management strategy, or even simply assembling a checklist of how the business would control risk in any of their projects. As a project manager, a documented risk management plan will be created to define certain risk approaches. This is a reference tool provided to the business as best practice standards moving forward. As a guide, what this can entail is included in the following: the company's risk management procedures that define how each steps will operate, the risk tolerance threshold of the company, tools or techniques that specifically will be used, risk categorization and severity, identifying record-keeping requirements, identifying roles and responsibilities outlined for each of the stakeholders, and then a contingency outline of a risk budget. The project manager plays a critical role in the proper identification of all known risks. You cannot mitigate the risk if you are unaware of it. So this step must be done accurately and thoroughly so all possible known risks can be addressed when the time is appropriate. So, following the processes and procedures defined in the previous step, the role of the project manager is to then define what risks may affect the project and documenting such characteristics. This will be logged in a risk register for subsequent management control and visibility. A clear expression of each risk is logged with its cause, the likely event, and the effect the risk could have on the project. This is part of a repetitive process where the timings and escalation requirements are reviewed and defined in the risk management plan. In order to determine which of the identified project risks require subsequent management, the project manager performs an analysis of the threats and opportunities that is required to be undertaken in a form of an assessment. As we've noted in previous discussions, it is worth considering project risk analysis in two ways: qualitative risk analysis and quantitative risk analysis. Qualitative analysis prioritizes project risk for follow-up assessment by combining the probability of occurrence and the risk impact. Quantitative risk analysis is where a score or weight is assigned to each risk based on probability and potential impact the risk can have on the project, highlighting whether further management is necessary. The risk register is updated with these results. Risk response planning takes the evidence collected to date from the risk register and for each threat and opportunity that has been identified as falling within a certain range of risk tolerance threshold, and a project manager will determine one or more viable risk responses. This means developing options and actions that will enhance opportunities and reduce threats to project objectives. A response plan is subsequently embedded within the project plan and can then be actioned as appropriate. The plan then highlights the probability and possibility of the impact of opportunities identified within the tolerance range and reduces the impact of any threats. Throughout this process, the project manager is continually alert to identifying risks, monitoring risks, and executing appropriate response plans. If threats are not identified early and actioned accordingly, this can have a detrimental effect to the overall project objective and the business bottom line. A project manager's role is to manage risk within their projects in a systematic manner. By doing so, they are required to ensure threats have a reduced effect on the project outcome, while at the same time improving the likelihood of gaining from certain opportunities along the project life cycle. The following includes the reference used for this presentation.